Are you ready for some thrills? What is up, party people? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Jamila. This is JemilaBeReadin because I do be reading, and I am very excited for this video. If you have been a watcher of my channel, you'll know that I started a series called Thriller Taste Test, where I'm trying to get into the thriller genre, figure out my tastes, and just see what's going on with the thrillers. You know what I'm saying? Because it seems to be a very popular genre, so I want to see what's going on, what's good, if you will. The first video that I did, I'll have linked in the description and in like the cards, wherever that is going to be. But I read 3 popular thrillers in that video. And today we're going to be reading 4 thrillers by Black authors. So let's get into the selection. First, we have My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Waithbrate. This is really popular also. I mean, I swear everyone and their mama has read this book already, and I'm just late to the train. Also, how cute is this little, like, pocket-sized edition? I don't really know why it's so small. I got it from my library, but whatever. This is about Korede, who has to constantly help her sister, who is a serial killer. She keeps killing her boyfriends. She has to go and help clean up the mess, hide the bodies, and she just is having a hard time because she doesn't want to do this, but she doesn't want to leave her sister hanging. So I think it's just kind of following that. There might be some potential romance. She's been in love with this handsome doctor, but there's just a hot mess going on with her sister, clearly. So that is the first selection. Also, I just think the cover is really pretty. Next, I have When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I have read Alyssa Cole's Reluctant Royal series. I know she primarily writes romance, and this is her first foray into the thriller genre. So I'm very excited because I really did love the Reluctant Royal series. This is kind of like gentrification thriller, which that already sounds terrifying. It's following Sydney Green, who is Brooklyn born and raised, but you know, gentrification is happening. She decides that she wants to put together a walking tour to show the real Brooklyn, and she teams up with her neighbor Theo. They start getting more and more into the history, and it goes into this paranoia and fear. The neighbors are being weird. All this stuff is happening. Sounds, like I said, scary. I can't wait. I know this, again, another really popular one. It came out last year, I think. And again, everyone has read this. I'm just late to the game, as per usual. What can I say? Then a recent release, Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. I know he wrote Blacktop Wasteland, which came out last year. Again, that one seemed to be really popular, but this one just came out. Got it in my book of the month pick for last year, I think. This is following Ike Randolph and Buddy Lee, 2 ex-criminals. They're brought together by the death of their 2 sons who were married. They want to do right by their kids because they were low-key homophobic towards them when they were alive. So they're trying to figure out what happened to these 2 guys and get revenge. Sounds like a wild time. And I've heard some good, like, preliminary things about this. And I've heard, again, good things about Blacktop Wasteland. So that is number 3. And finally, we have The Other Black Girl by Zakiya Dalila Harris. Again, another new release. This one is like an office thriller, kind of. So we have 26-year-old editorial assistant Nella Rogers, who's working at Wagner Books. She is the only Black girl, and she is sick of it. So she's very excited when a new person comes in, a new Black girl comes into the office. Her name is Hazel. They bond very quickly, but then things start to get a little weird. She starts getting notes saying that she needs to leave Wagner, and she suspects that Hazel is behind it. All this weird stuff is going on. It's like unsettling. So I'm just very excited for this one. Again, the cover, like, this is such a beautiful cover. Anyway, so those are the 4 books that I'm going to be reading for this video, and yeah, let's get into the vlog. Hello. I've started this, and I am like 90 pages into it, and let me just tell y'all, I'm stressed. It's stressing me out. This book is stressing me out. Couple things. One, didn't realize that this was going to be dual POV. It's from Sydney's perspective, who is a Black woman living in the Greenpoint neighborhood of Brooklyn. She is from this neighborhood. Her family has been here for generations, and her mom owns a brownstone, and that's where she's living. We also have Theo, our other POV, who is a white man, which is very surprising. I don't know why I got it in my head that he was Black. Doesn't matter. Anyway, he's a white man. He's the next door neighbor to Sydney. He and his partner, not really partner, ex-girlfriend, kind of, don't really know what's going on with that, is living next door. His lady, I don't know what's going on with her, but she is a lot, okay? Like, she's stressing me out. She's doing like the white woman tears stuff. This book is stressing me out, guys. Like, it's only 90 pages and I'm like just stressed because of like all of the realistic things. It's just really stressing me out. Anyway, I'm thrilled, to say the least. So we have these dual POVs. Sydney is trying to start a walking tour of Brooklyn that's more accurate to the like legitimate history of this neighborhood, of all the people of color. There's like a lot of gentrification going on. A lot of her former neighbor peeps have been priced out or bought out, and it's just like being infiltrated by a lot of like wealthy white people. So anyways, I'm stressed. That's all I can really say so far. Yeah. Hello. It's been a while. It's been a few days, a few very hectic days. My mom had some like family friends come visit from Seattle, and so it's just been a lot of cleaning this apartment. So anyways, I'm also taking the MPRE, which is the ethics portion of the bar exam, on Thursday, and it is Tuesday. So I've been studying for that. I'm actually about to head out to a coffee shop to get more studying done and also edit a video. But I wanted to update you guys on When No One Is Watching, because I finished that a few days ago and I really, really enjoyed it. What to say about it? I was very stressed. I thought that the way Alyssa Cole weaved in the like thriller gentrification aspects into the book was really well done. I know a lot of criticism that I saw, at least on like some Goodreads reviews, was that the villains, or like, I don't know, the white people were like too mustache twirly villainous, and I was just like, I feel like that's a wrong take. I mean, obviously people are entitled to their own opinions, but, you know, I do agree that some parts of this book were like a little bit overly exaggerated, but it is a thriller book at the end of the day. Obviously, it's not going to be like super, super realistic, even though I did feel like a lot of the elements were really realistic to the horrors of gentrification and racism and all of that stuff. But I mean, if you read like a normal, like, you know, popular thriller or domestic thriller or whatever, like none of that shit is like real or normal. Like a lot of that shit's exaggerated. So I just feel like that take of things being a little like over exaggerated and too villainousy just felt like a really weird critique of the story, considering, you know, it was still kind of following a lot of like thriller conventions while tackling a real issue, and for the most part still felt really realistic. So I don't know, didn't really agree with those opinions, but I did like it. My only personal critique is that I thought it was a little bit too weirdly paced at the end. I think it could have used maybe another like 50 pages, but overall I really enjoyed this one, and I was freaking stressed out, man. Like, oh. All right, anyways, I think I'm probably going to read My Sister the Serial Killer next, because I need something a little more chill. Don't know when I'm going to update y'all again, because, like I said, I'm taking the MPRE in 2 days. I'm kind of stressed out about it, but this is so random, but I've been watching a lot of New Girl lately, and it just got me thinking. Theo from When No One Is Watching, he kind of reminded me of Nick from New Girl. Yeah, I don't really know what to do with that information. I just thought I'd share. If you have read this book and also have seen New Girl, let me know. Yeah, alright, bye. Hello. I have finished another book. I realized that I had meant to give like a midpoint update, but I ended up finishing the book really quickly, and that was My Sister the Serial Killer. I basically read it in 2 days. It was only like 270 pages, so it went by really quickly. And just the way that it was written was like relatively fast paced. It had a really short chapter, so it felt like a breeze to get through. But basically, I read My Sister the Serial Killer. It's about Korede, who is a nurse, and her sister is a serial killer, as the title would imply. But yeah, the book basically opens up with Korede. She's trying to eat some dinner, watch her TV, and her sister calls her, asking for some help. So usually she will go and help like dispose of the body and clean up and all that stuff. She's trying to protect her sister, but at the same time is like fed up and also just like questioning, because her sister keeps saying that it's in self-defense. But 3 times already at the start of this book, and she's just like, I don't know, like this is really weird. And there's like a lot of like tension running through this book. I think a lot of people who read kind of the more like traditionally published thrillers might not consider this book to be a thriller like in that sense. And for the most part, everything is laid out for us very clearly. Like, we know pretty much what to expect. There isn't like a mystery that needs solving. But the way that the author wrote this book, there's like this kind of vague underlying tension that's kind of unsettling throughout the whole book. You're just wondering like how everyone is gonna react. Is Korede gonna like tell on her sister? Is her sister gonna kill somebody else? And now she has her eyes set on Korede's crush, who's a doctor at the hospital that she works at. And so she's like wanting to save him, but also wants to be loyal to her sister. There's just like a lot of will they, won't they, in a sense, in a lot of different situations in this book. So I think in that sense, it's kind of like a little thrilling, because you're just like, what are these people gonna do, even though for the most part everything is laid out for you. I really enjoyed it. I really liked these short chapters. It is very easy to get through, and it also feels like vignettes almost. And I think this would be a really good start if you're interested in getting into more non-linear storytelling. I think for the most part it's like a pretty linear story, but we kind of like jump around to different points. And so if you're interested in reading more like non-linear stories, I think this would be a good place to start out. But I really, really liked this one. I think I'd give it like a 4.5 stars. I'm definitely interested in more books from Oyinkan Braithwaite. I don't know. I think there's like a short story or something that she wrote that came out earlier this year, and I have not been able to find it like anywhere. So I don't know if that's only like available in certain areas or what have you, but if she writes any more, I'm definitely interested in reading. But yeah, I think I'm gonna read Razorblade Tears. I think that's what it's called next. But I'm in the middle of reading something for like a buddy read situation, so I need to finish that first. But I'll update y'all. with some friends. Hello, it's been a while again. But anyways, I finished Razorblade Tears by S.A. Crosby? Crosby. Anyways, I finished that book, and I did not do any updates while reading this book because I realized like pretty soon in that I wanted to like read this book in its entirety before I like made any comments about it. But basically, Razorblade Tears is like a crime thriller. And it's following two men. We get both of their POVs. We have Buddy Lee and Ike, and they are the fathers of these two husbands who were killed. And so they, at the start of this book, they find out that their sons are dead, and basically it's like a revenge story. They're like trying to figure out who did it and get revenge for the murders of their sons. And one of the big things about this is that both Ike and Buddy Lee were like really homophobic towards their sons when they were alive, and a lot of what's driving them now is kind of making amends now that their sons are dead. I was a little bit hesitant about this story like before I read it, just because I don't know, I felt a little bit weird about the story centering these two homophobic fathers who are only now like taking their sons seriously after they're dead, and like their deaths are being used as character development for them. And I still kind of feel that way having now finished this book, but there was a moment in there where I was like, man, are they not even gonna have any character development? And they kind of did. It kind of was just like, it settled on, I don't understand this, but everyone should be able to live their own lives as they please. And I'm like, okay, still feels a little weird. Besides that, like the actual like writing and the plot progression and stuff like that, I thought it was like kind of like this. Like there were parts where I was like really bored, and there were parts where I was like, oh shit. I thought the fight scenes were a little bit boring to read. I don't know. And yeah, there were moments in there too where it felt a little overly preachy. Like obviously the homophobia and transphobia and also racism, because that's another thing, is that Ike is black and Buddy Lee is white, and obviously their sons were black and white together. They live in like Virginia in the South, so there's still like a lot of like racism prevalent there. And like the main antagonist of the story is this like biker gang who are basically white supremacists. So there was just like a lot of conversation about racism and also about homophobia and transphobia. And it was kind of like, oh, here's a side character that's only here really for the scene to like challenge homophobia or to challenge, all of these things, but they don't have like any significance to the story, and it felt a little overly preachy, like a speech that you would give, rather than like nuance, like it being threaded throughout the story. It was like in like random spurts, and I don't know, I didn't really care for that. Like I do like that the author like was challenging these things, but I definitely think it could have been done better. Overall, it was fine. Like, I enjoyed the writing. I do want to check out his previous book, Blacktop Wasteland, because I've heard really great things about it. But yeah, I was not really into this book, and I think I might even like give away my copy or something like that, or donate it. I don't imagine myself rereading this again in the future, and I don't really like want it as a part of like my very limited space anyway. So yeah, that's how I'm feeling about that. I wasn't really on the edge of my seat, really, or anything like that. I was able to call the twist, like, pretty early on, also. Overall, it was fine. I'd give this, like, 3 stars. Yeah, I don't know. I'm really curious to hear y'all's thoughts on this if you've read it, especially if you're, like, black or queer. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this book, because I was having a hard time, like, figuring out how I feel about this. And I mean, I don't know if the author is queer at all, so that's another thing. But yeah, anyways, I have 1 book left. I feel like I've been working on this video for so long, but I kept picking up, like, other books in between and getting distracted by other things. But I have 1 book left, and that is The Other Black Girl, and I will start that hopefully today. But if not, I'll see you when I do start it. So, hello. It has been some time since I filmed whatever was the last clip of this video. I think I said I was gonna start The Other Black Girl, and I did. I read about 60 pages, and I decided to DNF it temporarily. I own the book, so I would like to read it at some point. And I am still interested in the premise, but I just, like, knew it was gonna be too much for me in the moment. Like, I don't want to read about 2 black girls being pitted against each other. I was not in the right headspace for that. So I decided to DNF it. I also wasn't super vibing with the writing. Like, I understand that this is a, like, thriller based on racism and stuff like that, but it was just, like, a little too on the nose. I don't know. Granted, I've only gone 60 pages in, but it was, like, simultaneously too on the nose and also, like, too real to, like, some of my personal experiences. So I was just like, this is too much for me right now. So I am not reading that book. So I am left with these 3 books that I read. I read When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole, and I gave that one 4 stars. I read My Sister, the Serial Killer by Oyinkan Braithwaite, and I gave that one, like, 4.5 stars. And I read Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby, and I gave that one 3 stars. Overall, I thought this was a mostly successful reading vlog, except for the fact that I DNF'd the book. But I really especially enjoyed the first 2 books that I read. I will be continuing on in this thriller journey. But that is it for this video as I lay here in bed, wrapped up in my blankets. It's so sunny today. I should maybe go outside, but also enjoying this Labor Day off from school. That's another thing. I've now started school. I feel like I've been doing this vlog over the course of the entire month of August. But yeah, I've started school now, so that sucks. Anyways, if you're still here, amazing. Thanks for watching. All my social media links will be down below, and I'll see y'all in the next video.